and welcome to the Tiny Human Minutes podcast. My name is Laura, and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our dog, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me online as Tiny Human Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, and YouTube, and I will have links to all of my social media and everything else I talk about in the description box below this video. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. It is the 4th of July today, which is a very special day because it means that Gusser, our yellow lab, is turning 12 years old. He's right next to me, sleeping on the floor, and it is his birthday today, and he's such a good boy, and after this I'll probably take him for, probably not a long W, but like, sorry, W-A-L-K, because he is turning 12, so he's got the spirit of a puppy, but the body of a 12-year-old dog, so he gets real tired real fast, so we can't take him too far, which is a bit sad because he really does want to go far, but he gets just really worn out. But it is his birthday today, so I might give him a little bit of whipped cream later on for dessert for his dinner. I don't know, we already gave him his like birthday dinner because his papa, his dad, is away for work at the moment, so he can't be here, so it's been the last few years like that. Anyway, that's a tangent. It's Gusser's birthday. Hooray. Anyway, it's the 4th of July. Happy day if you celebrate. I don't know. Depends on who you are, I think. But yes, I have a couple things to show and to share today. It doesn't feel like as much as I thought it would be, but I think that's just because I'm so close to finishing a few things that I feel like they're almost finished, so I should be able to talk about them as finished objects, but they're not, so I can't. Anyway, I'll start off by what I'm wearing, and this is the crackers. I forgot to look up the designer. It's called the Siri sweater. It is technically supposed to be a cardigan, but I knit it as a pullover, which is a really easy adjustment. I think you just need to take out a few stitches and then you knit it in the round instead. It is a beautiful textured yoke pullover and I absolutely love it. I don't wear it very often because I never leave the house, and usually when I'm working I want to wear something a little bit looser. This is a little bit more fitted, and to be perfectly honest, I am growing out of it a little bit. Ever since I turned 30 a few years ago, I have expanded slightly. And some of my older sweaters, because this is an older sweater, don't fit me quite the same anymore. But I'm not ready to give this one up. I'm not ready to give it away because it is too pretty. I knit it in Rowan felted tweed, I believe. And it's beautiful and I love it. But I think before I give this one up, give it away to someone maybe a touch smaller than me, because I can still wear it, it's just a little bit fitted. Or maybe it's just I don't know what a fitted sweater feels like because I always make such oversized things. But anyway, if I do end up giving it away, I'll have to find someone I really love who deserves it. But I want to make another one before I do that because it's so gorgeous and I love this color. So I wouldn't mind knitting it, maybe not in the same yarn, but in the same sort of color family. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a bit of a pain in the ass because there are triple decreases, like knit threes together and all of that. So it's a bit hard on your hands when you're knitting it. I have knit this one another time for a lady that I worked with 3 or 4 years ago. Her name was Diva, and she was a glorious human being, and she asked me to make one of these for her, and I did in a nice green color. But I really do love this sweater. It is gorgeous. I might actually just one day when I'm ready to knit it again, I might order the same yarn because it really feels great. It's a lovely yarn. It's got a great feel. It's a bit expensive, which is why I'm a little reticent. So maybe for Christmas I'll ask for another sweater quantity and I'll knit it again, and then it'll be like I never lost it. But yeah, anyway, that's what I'm wearing. It is an absolutely gorgeous sweater. I really, really like it. And yeah, I think I'll move into finished objects, of which I have 3. And I'm really happy with these finished objects. It's really cleared my plate for new cast-ons, which I am heavy dreaming of new cast-ons. I'm planning a lot of things, which I don't actually have time for, but that's neither here nor there. First off, I will talk about my cathedral sweater child's version. It's got, all of these have been folded, so they might have fold lines in them. I finished this a week and a half ago, I think. Well, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say. I finished all of these in pretty quick succession, and I can't remember exactly when it was. But not too long after my last episode, I finished this. And it is the Cathedral Sweater by Ewe Knit Toronto. Those are the people who sent me the kit for it, and to go along with their release of their new book by Claudia Quintanilla. I'm blanking on the name. Completely blanking on the name. Making Memories? That's the one. Jeepers. Anyway, they sent me a copy of the book and also the yarn to make this, and it is the Rowan Kid Classic, which is a blend of merino, I believe, and mohair. And now that I have finished the sweater, it's very cute. I like it a lot. Did not like the yarn at all. I liked it for just knitting plain in the round stockinette. That was great. That was fine. That was lovely. What a wonderful yarn. For me personally, it might be a little bit skewed right now because my hands, especially right here, like my index finger and my thumbs, are super dry because I've been dyeing a lot of solids, which means submersion a little bit more. And they're like sandpaper, and it's disgusting. And this yarn caught on it a lot, and it grossed me out. This is why I've had someone I've met before offer to teach me how to do pottery, and I'm absolutely 100% would love to, cannot do it. Just the feeling of dry clay on my hands, even the thought of it makes my skin crawl. Like, I can't. It's my thing. I hate it. Hate it. Anyway, but also with this yarn, because you knit this bottom up and then you knit the sleeves and you join it all in the round, you have to join this underarm portion separately. Instead of like if you did a top down, you'd be picking up stitches, so you could pick up extra stitches and then close up any gaps. This one, you graft, I think 3 needle bind off the underarm stitches after you're finished, and it just left massive holes on either side of the join because this yarn is so airy and lofty that personally, again, this is not going to be everyone's experience with the yarn. I had massive holes because the yarn can condense a lot because of all of that airiness, and it took me a lot of tries to get it to look nice with me sewing up the holes that were created by that way. And also I had to bind off 3 times at the neckline to get it loose enough that it would actually fit over any person's head because of that same reason. And then not only that, but when I finished it the first time, I was not happy with the collar at all. And I was having a bit of a moment because my 3 projects that I have to show you today, I actually finished them all and then undid the finishing on every single one of them just because I wasn't happy with what I had done, and I couldn't just let it slide and have 3 projects in a row not turn out the way I wanted it to, and I'll explain what I did for the next 2 as well. But I bit the bullet, and I did a little bit of adjustment on this, just going down a needle size and using a different technique to knit the collar. And I've seen a couple projects where people had omitted this 1x2 twisted ribbing, and it looks fine at the bottom because it's the start, but they have done a 1x1 ribbing instead. And I think when I do the adult version I might do that because it was really, really hard for me to get the collar to look neat and tidy. There's something about the way that it is at the top where it's so loose compared to the other edgings. So yeah, when I do the adult one, I'm going to do a 1x1 rib in the same way that I do from the opposite side. And then I also thought what I might do, I'm going to see if I can do this because I really want to. I'm going to provisionally cast on the stitches for underneath the design. I haven't looked at the pattern to see where their short rows are, but if they're right I'll figure that out. But I want to provisionally cast on all the stitches for the yoke and then work the yoke up the way it's written in the pattern. And then what I want to do is actually pick those stitches up and work down, so I can pick up the sleeves and work on them in the whole body. And I think for me personally, that'll help it go by a little bit faster. And I really want to see if that works, just so I can figure out I think it would be better for my process, I think. Anyway, that's all to say, all those whiny complaints aside, I actually really, really like this, and it is really cute. I made this for my niece Mira, who is 2.5 years old, and this is going to be way too big for her because I knit the 6-year-old size with a smaller gauge, so it kind of turned out to be a little bit in between that, which I actually think is perfect. I want her to be so spoiled with sweaters. It's just what I want. Plus, I'm making the adult version for her mom. Pardon me. But yeah, I think it turned out really cute, and I can't wait to see her in it. This would absolutely drown her at the moment, which is fine. I still think I might make a little pinafore to go over top, just because it is a white mohair yarn, so I might, I just want to protect it as long as I can, and I'll probably make that to be about a 4 or 5-year-old size as well, just because then she has something in her closet to wear later on if she goes through a crazy random growth spurt, then she's got that. But yes, all of the information about what needle sizes I used are in the pattern. I didn't change anything else. So that one is that, and my next one is the Kaleidoscope sweater that is out of the same knitting book, The Making Memories, also designed by Claudia Quintanilla. And this one looks a little bit different than it does in the book, but that's because I had to change a few things for my own personal preferences. But that's this one right here. Again, it has fold lines. It's been folded. And this I knit out of the Onion Yarns number 4, I believe. It's the Merino and Nettles mixed yarn. And I'm a little, I wouldn't say I'm fully satisfied with this sweater. I knit the pattern as written, finished it, bound off, blocked it, hated it. Because the color works a little bit different, and you ended up doing 3 rows in a row that had heavy decreases in them. And then the way you switched, it was during color work, the way you switched the colors, it looked so messy. And then my collar was terrible. And like I said, I finished it, blocked it, hoping it would help. This yarn, gotta be perfectly honest, not a good choice for color work at all. It's very soft, and it's gonna be for a child, so I think it'll be good, but it's not what you want to use for color work for even stitches, just because it is so slippery. But what I ended up doing, I had a bit of a frenzy with my objects, and I just cut off the collars of both of the baby sweaters, and I unraveled it to right here, and picked up the stitches. And I did make a little bit of a mistake, and I picked up the stitches with the wrong size needle, and I didn't realize until I was doing my collar, and I wasn't going to unrip it. But what I did is I actually switched out, this is the 4-year-old size, I switched out the chart for the older sizes to the baby chart, and I actually did that, and I just moved the decreases around so they weren't right next to any of the contrast colors. I tried to keep it within the background color, and then when I switched to the collar color, I actually have a few rows, this isn't in the pattern, but I have a few rows of straight stockinette in the collar color with decreases instead of having them in the color work, just because I think that would look nicer. And I think it still looks cute. It's probably some of my worst color work. It looks fine from afar, just so you know. Up close, it's not as cute. But like I say, it's for a child. This way I can tell mom that she can play in the mud in this and it won't matter, because this is not, it's not great. There were also a lot of strands of yarn to weave in, which is not my favorite in color work. I find it a little bit more difficult. But I also omitted, there was a row, the row here with the little white contrast there was supposed to be 4 colors, and when I knit it the first time, I did do 4-color row. It was awful. Every stitch was a different color, and I just figured when I was redoing it, I didn't need to do that personally, so I didn't. But yeah, it's done. It's super soft. This yarn is just delicious. It is so soft and so lovely to feel. And I hope she'll get some wear out of it. Again, like, this suits her perfectly, I think. But this is also going to Mira. But yeah, like, it's not my best, but it did show me that I can sort of make adjustments to suit myself. It's one of those things where when you make those sorts of decisions and those sorts of, like, not errors, but when you change something for yourself, you're always learning something. So to me, it's not wasted time. If you're not happy with your knits, you should do something about it so that you are happy with them, or at least show yourself, like, do as much as you can. And so I feel a little bit better about both of these sweaters because I did something about it, even though they're not perfect still. But yeah, they'll be going to Child and she'll enjoy them. Oh, I feel so chatty today. My last finished object is my Travel Mode Baby Blanket by Susanne Sommer, and it is glorious. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the whole thing in the frame here, but it is lovely, it is beautiful, it is so squishy. And this one also had not a tale of woe, but it had its edgings undone. So last weekend I took this out to the deck because it has been raining for like a month, and then every once in a while we have a few days of nice weather. I overheard someone at the grocery store say to the cashier that we're getting our summer in installments. So that's what's happening. It's muggy as heck, but not very sunny. But it was a really nice day last weekend, and I took this out on the deck and I grabbed my needle. So I knit this whole thing in 5mm needles with different colors of Jerome Natura Gilead. And so I took my 5mm needle and I picked up all of the stitches on all of the sides, and I did the I-cord bind off as it was written in the pattern, and I finished it. And I had this feeling while I was making it that it was too tight, and I kept trying to convince myself that it was fine. Tried to knit a little looser. It was fine, it was fine, it was fine. And then I blocked it, and luckily it was such a sunny day, so it dried in like 2 hours. So I blocked it, and while I was blocking it, putting it on the blocking mats, there was so much fabric between the I-cord that I could tell that there wasn't enough space for it to like stretch out. And I kept telling myself, no, that's a good thing because that'll stop the garter stitch from getting too saggy, from like getting too much stretch out of it and ruining the effect. But then I had it in the pile, and I actually finished this one before I finished the kaleidoscope. And after I finished the kaleidoscope and didn't like it, I knew I had to fix a few things. So when I was taking off the collars of that, I do a thing where if I'm being a bit wishy-washy, I'll just cut it. I took my scissor and I cut it. And then you have no choice but to do something about it. So I unraveled the original I-cord, which was a bit of a pain in the butt because I had already woven in my ends, and some of my ends were woven into the I-cord, but it was fine. It actually worked out fine. And so I unraveled it, and I picked up all of the stitches again on a 6mm needle this time. And I did it again, and it's so much better. It actually has a little bit of give. It's obviously tighter in the I-cord than the actual fabric would give you, but again, I don't mind that. It's not so much that it makes it look rumpled, because when I blocked it again, it looked perfect. It'll stop it from stretching out too much, but there is enough give that it's not scrunching up the fabric in between. Oh, you're right there, Gus. Did you scare yourself? Gus is a very active dreamer. But yeah, so I did it again on 6mm needles, and I tried not to knit it too tightly. I tried not to tighten my yarn too much. And when it comes to the corners, there's instructions to do like a row without doing any decreases on every corner. But I actually did 2 rows, not in a row. I did 1 row without any decreases, and then did a row with a decrease, and then did another row without any decreases, just because I found that it was a little bit better going around the corner. For my own tension, this might be different for other people. I think it's because my row gauge is always a little bit shorter than necessary. Because some people, I'm sure, might be able to do a 5mm needle I-cord bind off and it'd be completely fine. But this just worked for me. But I'm really happy with this. I'm really, really happy. I have yarn to make another one in, I think it's a white, gray, and then I have more greeny blue colors to go with it. Because this is for my nephew Axton. And my sister Dana, Axton's mom, is having another baby soon. And I've determined that Axton wears a lot of like earth tones, like creams, caramels, yellows, kind of stuff like that, which I love. I love those colors. But I'm kind of determined to make this other baby the green and blue baby because I've got to expand my color palette. So yeah, I'm just gonna make another one like that. But yeah, this is so nice and I hope he loves it. She recently got a package that I sent her with the Crossroads sweater, the red one with the colorwork yoke, and he put it on immediately. He loves sweaters. He loves cuddly, like, just, oh, it's so exciting because I hope he stays that way forever because I will knit him sweaters until he is an old man. Love him. Anyway, that is my finished blanket, and this adds quite a bit of yarn to my tally of trying to knit 10,000 grams in 10,000 hours, which I'm almost halfway there. I'm almost to 5,000 grams, and I'm only counting, I don't know how much I've talked about this. So last year, Jackie of Woolen Oaks was doing she was trying to knit half of her stash. I have too much stash. So I decided that I was going to try to knit 10,000 grams out of my stash, and I decided that I would give myself a time frame, because I started knit last October. I would give myself a time frame of 10,000 hours, which lasts until December 8th of this year. And so I'm not doing like a flat 10,000 grams out of my stash, because like I've bought some yarn since I started this, but I am almost 5,000 grams of stash finished. I'm not counting my sock samples or anything I do for the shop, and I'm not counting things like the cathedral sweater, just because that yarn was sent to me. I didn't buy it, so I'm not counting those, which is funny because the amount of yarn that I've knit that isn't from my stash is about 1,200 grams. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. So yeah, I've got a few things. I'm hoping very much that I can start working on the crochet blanket for my mother-in-law again, because that is going to use so much yarn. Crochet eats yarn like a beast, and I'm excited to see how much yarn it will actually eat. But I'll have to actually sit down and make that, you know, get myself to do it. Anyway. So I will move on now to my works in progress, and first I will show you the one work in progress that you have seen before. I have, shockingly, and I think it's only because I'm waiting for yarn to dry, not cast on anything new, besides one thing. Don't know what I'm talking about. Cast on one thing that's new. Cast on more things that are new. Anyway, so I will show you my Summer Souffle by Laura Penrose Knits, that I'm knitting out of scrap yarn. Not scrap yarn, but like yarn I've had in my stash for a while that was for nothing in particular. Now I'm using it for this. But yes, I actually, so okay, I've knit a few extra stripes on this since the last time you saw it, and I did actually have a bigger chunk of this last color, because I've done 2 repeats of the color sequence, and I had about 2 inches of this contrast color at the bottom, and then I was going to start my ribbing, and I tried it on and it looked so strange. I think it was the if there had been a bigger amount of the contrast color, like if I had only done 1 repeat of the colors and then gone into this spare color that I had, I think that would look fine. But because I had done 2 repeats and it was quite long already at that point, it looked really clunky to have that big section of solid color. So I unraveled that and picked up 2 rows after I had added it, and I'm just going right into the ribbing there, so I think it'll look a lot more even. It will look more correct. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to do sleeves that I still haven't decided if I'm going to do decreases or not. I'm thinking not. And then what I might do is I'll do a full sequence of the color, and then whatever that reaches, then I'll add the contrast color, do a rapid decrease, and do quite a long cuff. So I think that will probably get to maybe about here, which is perfect for me. I really like that length on a sweater. So yeah, I mean, I'm also not opposed to unraveling anything if I don't like it. That doesn't really bother me at all. I considered for a while the other day unraveling this whole thing just because I having a bit of a wobble, wasn't fully convinced about it, but we'll see. We'll see. I still like the process. And I have one work in progress that I've cast on since last time, and it's actually almost done, and I could finish it if I just sat down and did it, but I'm sort of using it as my right before bed knitting, just because it is knitting in the round in stockinette, and that is a project that is so delightful. It is a, pardon me, it is the mini mock neck by Jessie Made Designs, and I'm quite happy with it so far. I am showing me a wrong side. Oh jeez, this far into it, and this pattern has been so delightful. I don't know what it is about fingering weight on and I'm knitting mine on a 3.25 millimeter needle. That is such a nice, comfortable gauge for me to knit at. And I'm actually kind of surprised, because usually stuff like this would feel like it was taking forever. But yeah, the feeling of a 3.25 millimeter needle in my hands with this yarn, it just feels really, really nice. But I cast it on, I can't even remember when, but I'm using yarn that I've dyed myself. This is my Still Waters colorway. It is based on the mini skein that came with the They're Taking the Hobbits to Isengard color. I have a bunch of this I need to put at my shop yet. But it's a really, really deep teal, and I'm really, really, really loving it. I need to just finish, I think, maybe an inch more on the body before I can do the ribbing at the bottom, and then I need to pick up the stitches for the neckline. And I've tried it on, and it fits surprisingly well. And there's a few things that I'll change when I make it again, because I'm definitely going to make it again. I need more summer garments. There's a few things that I want to change, but other than it's a really, really great pattern, and it doesn't actually use that much yarn. I don't know how much more than 100 grams I'm going to have to use. Hopefully. I wish I could get it out of one skein, and I might. It's hard to say, but oh, it's so lovely. The pattern is written really, really well, as Jessie Made's patterns always are, and I really, really love it. And I think, yeah, the next time, I got a bit worried because my row gauge is a lot shorter than her gauge in the pattern is, but I honestly think I could have gotten away with just following the pattern directly. This isn't like too low, the armhole, but it's a little low. So next time I might just follow the pattern exactly, or go down a needle size or something like that. But yeah, I'm really, really loving this. I think it's going to look really nice, and it'll be really nice to have more summer garments in my wardrobe. I have like 3 summer shirts. Yeah, 3, and 2 of them are not in the best shape, I can tell you. I'm so bad with making and buying, well, clothes in general, but summer things, not great. And now I will tell you the things that I wish to cast on soon. First off, I really want to make the Cumulus Tee by Petiteknit. I'm sure all of you have heard of it before. It is a beautiful, lightweight, also on a 3mm needle situation that I think would be really nice. And I'm going to knit it out of the Illimani Sabri, which I've had in my stash since last year. is this right here. It is 85% organic cotton, 15% baby alpaca, and ridiculously soft. And I also really, really like this color, and I think knit in that sort of garment will be really, really nice. And I'm thinking I'll make this, and then I'll probably knit myself a ripple bralette to wear underneath it. I haven't chosen a color for that yet, but I just think that as a set would be super cute. So I really want to cast that on. I don't know if I'll do a gauge swatch, because it is sort of an adjustable pattern where you could change things as you go. So it's not a difficult pattern, but we'll see. I have 2 skeins of this, and I think that should be enough. And also, I bought this at my local yarn store, so I don't think it'd be a problem to get more. And then another thing I really want to cast on, and this is also, I'm going to cast on the Cathedral adult size right away here as soon as I finish my 2 works in progress, so I've got a clean slate. But I've also been doing some gauge swatching for a sweater for my friend Rowan, because he needs a sweater completely. I'm gonna knit it I'm gonna knit it out of this Knit Picks Simply Wool Aran Weight in the Winnie color, and I adore this yarn so much. I don't know what it is about the feeling of it. It smells incredibly sheepy, but there's just, the feel of this yarn is so soft and so woolly at the same time. I absolutely love it. So I am sort of having a difficult time picking a pattern, because I'm realizing that I'm kind of picky when it comes to cables. I don't like the trellis. Is it no, the trellis is fine. No, I don't like honeycomb cables. But the thing is, I could easily change that to be crossed over cables, but I don't know what it is about honeycomb cables. I don't like them. And I'm also not a huge fan of the staghorn, but that one's less of a problem for me. But yeah, I thought I had picked a pattern. I thought I was gonna knit the Hugo, which is a Brooklyn tweed pattern. I'll put up pictures here. I was struggling between the Hugo and then maybe the Moby Sweater Man by Petiteknit, because they're very similar designs. There's a little bit different construction, but I think I like the Moby, or not the Moby, sorry, I like the Hugo better. But what I will do is change the neckline a bit, so it's a little higher in the front with just a straight neckline instead of the high collar with the snaps. Because I think I want to have Rowan to make him a seamed garment, because I think that'll fit better. He's kind of a tall, broadish man. But I'll have to do some adjustments, I think, because my gauge, the gauge that I was getting, I went up a needle size in my gauge swatch here, and I got gauge on that, but I don't think I like the fabric as much. But the fabric on the smaller needle is a little too tight, but I like the fabric better. So I'll have to do some adjustments on what size I choose. The nice thing about a lot of the Brooklyn tweed patterns, though, is that they do have instructions for just the length that you need to knit it to. So I might just cast on more stitches and then do the lengths according to the pattern. Plus, he's a really tall guy. I can't really go wrong with how long it is, but I think that's what I might do. Just adjust some things a little bit. But I'm really excited for that, because A, that uses a lot of this Aran weight yarn that I have in my stash, because I actually bought this in the last November, I think. That's where most of my like yarn in has come from. And I really want to knit him something, because he is one of the kindest, nicest, most thoughtful, beautiful people on the planet, and I love him very much. But the next thing that I want to knit, and this is a recent discovery of mine, is a pattern. I do not know how to pronounce his name. I will put the information here. It means autumn glow, so it's the autumn glow sweater, and it is so beautiful. I can't count. If I had the yarn ready, I would have casted it on already, but I have been doing some swatching with different yarns, and I have realized that I do have quite a bit of actual, like, just worsted weight yarns sort of sitting around a little bit. But so it is this beautiful top-down colorwork sweater. It has 6 different colors. It is stunning. I love the colors in the samples. I'm trying to be as close and accurate to those colors as I can be. So I've sort of gathered some yarn that I have. I'm kind of stealing yarn from other projects a little bit, but hopefully not using too much. But the colors I think I've picked, I'm not entirely sure, are some Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock Worsted, and I have it in the white color. This I have lots of. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it all, but I could make a Moby sweater for myself out of it, maybe. But yeah, I have lots of this, and I have it in the cream color, and then I also have it, I don't remember the colorway names. When I cast this on, I'll make a Ravelry page and put the colors on it. But then I also have this sort of tanny beige color. And then I have this gray, which also didn't have a project, so I'm not stealing that from anything. This I am stealing from my Ariana cardigan. And then I also stole a cast iron in this yarn. It was a little bit more gray than I wanted it to be, so I'm actually over dyeing that with black at the moment because I want it to be a black. And then I also overdyed this skein of Simply Wool Worsted from Knit Picks. This was just a plain, it was almost the same color as this. And so I just overdyed it with my Conquers color. And that's going to be another one of the contrast colors. It's not quite dry yet, so I can't wind it up. And then I also stole this Durum Natura Gilead from the baby blanket that I want to make for my new nephew. So those are my 6 colors, and I am so excited. It is going to be so thick. It is going to be a warm sweater. And then imagine this with black. It's going to be so pretty. I might cast that on tomorrow as a soothing cast on. So tomorrow is the anniversary of my late husband's death, so it's just I'm taking the day to myself, and I'm just gonna do that and feel good about it. But yeah, I'm very excited. I love a complicated knit, but I also love a plain knit, so I'll probably cast on. Yeah, I'll have my Cumulus Tee as a sort of in between of those projects, just because I love them all. All the yarn is so delightful to hold. This yarn though, if you're looking for an inexpensive earthy toned yarn to knit a sweater out of, this Simply Wool is delightful. I've made a few things out of it and it is just so nice. I wish it came in a sport weight, really. But yeah, I did a bunch of gauge swatches for this Autumn Glow sweater, and I kept just grabbing yarn from other projects, but I really, really want it to be close to what the sample project is because it just looks so nice and I'm so drawn to those colors. And so I had to adjust with what I had. Like this Simply Wool Worsted was a leftover. I had 1 skein of it. So I figured it would be a-okay to steal and put into this project. And then I had, technically I could have used a Cascade 220 in a yellow, but it wasn't as bright yellow as I wanted it to be. So this one it is. I might not even use as much, like if I don't even use half of this skein, I'll have enough still for the blanket that I want to make. I'll just have to adjust some things. It's fine. And then yeah, I have lots of this as well. I think because when I ordered some Woolstock Worsted, I didn't realize it came in 150 gram skeins. And I can always adjust for the Ariana cardigan. I can always use it for the center little circle thing, and then I won't need as much, and it'll be fine because I have enough of all the other colors. But I am so excited to cast this on. I'm really, really excited, and it's good motivation for me to work on the projects that I have now, get those out of the way, and then I'm clear needled and I can cast on things without feeling overwhelmed, because I don't feel bad about it, but I do feel like the need to finish things, except for socks. They can linger. It's fine. Speaking of socks though, I am currently dyeing up the colorways for my Alphonse Mucha update, which will happen, I'm pretty sure it'll happen at the end of August, just because of the amount of time it's going to take me to finish everything. It will be August for sure. I might do end of August and then do like a little update this month, maybe with some carols in the snow if anyone's been looking for that. But yeah, I'm still working on the sample for the last color. I've actually The last color for my Alphonse Mucha update, I love it so much that I'm actually being a little bit more picky about it than I would other ones. I really want it to be perfect because I've knit up half of like 3 different colorway samples and I love them all. Love them all. But I keep thinking, oh, this could be better. This could be better. This could be better. So I'm just working on that. So I've got another one that I need to cast on today just to see if the colors work the way I want them to. And we'll see. We will see. But yes, I hope that was semi-enjoyable for you. If you cast this sweater on or want to, we could do like a little knit along. I would gladly do that. I'm so excited by that sweater. Anyway, yeah, if anyone has any interest in like casting that on with me, I will be there for you 100%. Love it. Anyway, so that is all for today. I will see you in 2 to 3 weeks time, and I hope you all have a lovely start to your July, and I will see you all next time. Bye!